adapt it to the new world that we're living in, right? And it's also CPD accredited. So at the end of this, I will talk you through just the process that you will need to go through to get your qualification. I can see messages that are coming through, so be sure to drop your questions if you have any as we go through the class. And if there's anything you want me to elaborate on, let me know. I'm here live with you guys, so I'm really willing to answer any questions you have. I want to make sure that you've got a clear understanding of this class by the end of it. So what we're going to go through today, first of all, I'm going to go through what marketing actually is, okay? Because marketing is such a loaded term. It's a very, very, very broad umbrella. Underneath that, you get advertising, PR. There's so many different things that fall under marketing. And so I want to make sure that I'm clear with you guys on what marketing is. And then we're going to discuss what digital marketing is. So you can understand the differences between the two, right? What is it that makes digital marketing different to regular marketing? And then lastly, I'm going to go through the 5 steps to creating a digital marketing campaign. And by the end of this, I'm hoping that you have all the equipment and all of the knowledge that you need to actually create a comprehensive, detailed marketing strategy for yourself, for your business, or for a client, or if you're interested in going into this as a career, working in-house. You just need to have these basic principles that I'm going to share with you today. So first of all, the basics. What is marketing? And now marketing, just the general term, is the action or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. So marketing really is the umbrella term. Underneath that, it includes market research, product development, branding, advertising, selling, customer relationship management, budgeting, pricing, distribution, communications. So many things fall underneath marketing that it's very important to understand this, because I think when people think of digital marketing, the first thing that comes to mind is social media. And I think that might be the extent to which people think digital marketing really is. But once you understand that marketing in and of itself is such a broad term and it encompasses so many of these other fully actualized subjects in and of themselves, then you realize that digital marketing is so much more than just social media. So then we're going to look at what digital marketing is. What is digital marketing? Now, digital marketing is determined by the method of distribution. So it's when the marketing efforts are delivered through digital channels. Everything we just said: market research, product development, branding, advertising, selling, customer relationship management, or CRM, also known as customer retention management, budgeting, pricing, distribution, communications, all of those things that are marketing. When those methods, those tactics or strategies are implemented or distributed through digital channels, then it becomes digital marketing. So channels such as social media or mobile applications or email, web applications, search engines, websites, or any other digital channel, when they pop up, you've got new apps and new platforms and new programs popping up every day. Any digital platform, if you're using that to distribute your marketing communications, if you're using that, then it is officially digital marketing. You can officially call it that. Okay. So let's go through the 5 steps to creating a digital marketing strategy. This is where you get your pens and papers out. This is where you start screenshotting my screen to make sure that you are able to come back to this at a later date. I want you to always be able to come back to your notes, right? So this is where you start doing all of that fun stuff. Okay, first step. And I'm just going to breeze through them now, but then I'm going to go in detail on each one as the slides progress. First step, situational analysis. All right. Number 2, goal setting. Number 3, audience and content. Now, this can actually be spread out into like 4 steps, but we're going to cram it all into one step for the sake of time. And also, this is getting started with digital marketing. We're not getting degrees today. This is not bachelor's degree. This is not master's degree. So we're going to cram it into one step and simplify it just so that it gives you enough knowledge to go and get started. Step 4, digital strategies and tactics. And step 5, measuring results and KPIs. Now, as I've just said, all of this can be stretched out. Each one of these steps could be like an entire semester worth of learning at university if we really wanted to go in detail, but we're not doing that today. So I'm going to, when I go through these things, I'm sending you away with things that you need to go away and search up for yourself, things that you need to go away and read up on, because I'm giving you the simplified Saturday school version. All right. So I hope that's clear. First question I want to ask you guys is, what is the product? What is the product? Now, when I walk down the road and I see a McDonald's billboard, I don't see the entire McDonald's menu. They don't put the whole menu on the billboard, do they? They put one thing that they're promoting in that particular campaign. It might be the seasonal burger for that season, or it might be a new flavor of nuggets. They do not put the entire all Happy Meals, desserts, all the drinks. They don't do that. And that's because it's very important to make sure that your campaign is honed in on one product or service or one particular collection. If you're doing clothing or just, you need to simplify it. You cannot put all your service offerings, all your products all into one campaign. That's the first mistake that people make when they're trying to put a campaign together. They're trying to sell everything all at once and you overwhelm your customer. Right? So what we need to do now is focus on a particular product. Now, if you have a business, this could be easy for you. Just think of one of the products that you have, write that down. And as I go through the steps, the 5 steps, you can kind of apply everything I'm saying to that particular product that you have in mind. If you don't have a product, if you don't have a business or anything like that, then just make something up, maybe earrings or a water bottle, anything. Just make it up in your mind so that you can have something to actually work with in your brain. So you're not just trying to theorize here, you can apply. If you work in-house or if you work for an agency, just think of one of your clients' products, or think of your, the company that you work for, one of the products that they've got there, just something, and have that in your mind, write it down, make it clear to yourself what you are promoting. And although this may not seem like something you need to do, and you might just feel like, okay, Patrice, move on to the next slide. I'm telling you this because it's important, and you'll see why as we go forward. Okay, step 1. We know what we're promoting. Let's say, I don't know, wine glasses, shoes, whatever it may be. The first thing we need to think about is a situational analysis. We cannot just jump into promoting our brand without reading the room. This is a very important step, the most important step, in my personal opinion. You see so many campaigns that are completely tone deaf, that are offensive, that are just, they miss the mark, right? The messaging's all off. And that's because they didn't do a situational analysis. They didn't read the room. They didn't think about what they were going to say, in the current climate before they said it. They just spoke, they just posted, they just created this campaign without running it by the correct people. This is why this step is important. You can ruin your whole brand reputation that you've been building for years, just making a mistake because you didn't read the room. So step 1, situational analysis. What's going on around your brand? It's June right now. It's Pride Month. These are things to think about. Think about what's going on in the world, the climate. Think about global warming. Think about what's going on in the government. Think about, I don't know, a global pandemic maybe. There are things happening around us that we need to consider when we're putting our campaigns together. Now, one thing that really will help you with your situational analysis is a pestle analysis. Now, there are so many other things that you could do. You could do a SWOT, although that's more of a business analysis than a situational analysis. There are so many different ways that you can kind of analyze what's going on around your brand, but I would say a pestle is the best one for someone who's getting started with digital marketing. Now, P stands for political. What is going on in the government right now that you might need to consider when putting your strategy together? What conversations are they having in parliament or whatever the government in your country is called? What are they talking about? What bills are they trying to pass? What laws are they considering? What's happening with the government budgets? Is there an election coming up? And what's going on around that? These are the things you need to think about. How could that affect my business? How could that affect my messaging? How could that affect my target audience and their current state of mind? Think about these things, write these things down. I want you to screenshot this. We're not doing that activity here now. I'm going through it with you, but this is something that you're going to go away and do and apply. Then we need to look at the economic. That's what the E stands for. The E stands for economic. Now, are there any changes or advancements within the economy that could affect your strategy? All right, we're just coming out of a pandemic and going into a recession, honey. So what's the recession gonna do to you and your business, to your target audience pockets? All right, we need to think about the economy. We just had like a crypto crash the other day. I remember hearing about, I'm not into all of that, but I heard about it. And I think that's something that's important to think about if I'm doing a situational analysis, and my target audience are really involved in that. Questions to ask yourself, yeah? The S stands for social. Factors like cultural trends, demographics, population analytics. This should all be taken into consideration also. This is Pride Month. What's happening right now? If it was Black History Month, what's happening then? What's going on socially among the demographics and the communities in the population that you need to think about? Is it going to affect your messaging? Is it something that you need to incorporate in your messaging? You see where I'm going with this. Technological. What technology is out that could be incorporated? Will tech be an issue in any way? Maybe the current technology in the world is not quite where you need it to be to push a certain idea forward, or maybe it's something that you need to create, or maybe some new technology came out that's really going to benefit your business, benefit your target audience, and help you get the word out about what you're doing. Consider this. L stands for legal. There are laws that affect the things that you can and cannot do in business, so be sure to think about these things. Copyright law, usage rights. What do you need to think about legally with your business before putting anything out there? Can you just use any random images that you found on Google? Do these images need to be cleared? You see what I'm saying? Environmental, that's what the E stands for at the end. Now, this is the factors of a business, business's environmental analysis, like climate, weather, geographical location, global changes in the climate. I would like to say that a pandemic falls under environmental, but really the pandemic has affected every single one of these elements of the pestle, so we can't really chalk it up to just environmental, but it's that type of thing, like what's going on in the world environmentally that could affect your campaign. It's in summertime now. These are things to consider. What's the weather like? How is that going to affect your campaign? How is that going to affect people's mood? How is that going to affect people's plans? Are you thinking of holding a festival in August when it's really rainy? Like, how is weather going to affect your campaign or the environment just in general? Maybe you've got a product that's about to release that's made of plastic. How's that going to go over with the current climate, with the current sustainability conversation? Maybe you need to actually go back and change some of the materials that you're using at your company. So these are things that may seem like, whoa, I didn't even think about that. Like, is that even important? And yes, it is important, because these little things make a big impact when people start talking about it on Twitter, or start, talking about it or thinking about it. It makes a huge difference. Step 2, goal setting. I've just seen a question come through. I'm just going to quickly read that before I move on to step 2, just in case it's about... Oh, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Right, so step 2, goal setting. Now, this may seem completely obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people try to run campaigns without setting goals. Like, it would shock you the amount of people are like, oh, we didn't make any sales, and I'm just like, well, how many sales did you make? And they're like, I made 20. And I'm like, well, that's sales. I mean, the reason why you're confused about whether or not your campaign was effective is because you didn't really set like an amount of sales that you wanted to see. So 20 may not seem like enough to you, or for some people that may seem like a lot. There's no clear, measurable goal here for us to kind of gauge whether or not we did well or not. And then there are people who put campaigns out and they have no idea what they even want in return. They don't know if they want views, or if they want sales, or if they want, website clicks or downloads. Like, it's not specific. So that's why we're going to look at SMART goals now. And I know you guys have heard of SMART goals, but this is a very important step. After you've done your situation and analysis, you now want to sit and set some goals. The goal must first be specific. Do you want site visits? Do you want business leads? Do you want downloads? Do you want product sales? What do you want? You know that meme from The Notebook? Ryan Gosling's like, what do you want, to Rachel McAdams? That's what I'm asking you guys right now. What do you want out of this campaign? What is your goal? Because you're not going to know whether or not you succeeded or not unless you decide what the goal is. Now, once you've done that, you can now put a number to it. How many of the above exactly? How many? So if you said you want business leads, how many leads? You want product sales? How many sales? Site visits? How many? Views? How many? Until you know how many, you're not going to know whether or not you succeeded. Then, is it attainable? That's the A. It needs to be realistic considering your resources and your circumstances. All right? Say, for example, an ad budget of £200 can get you 7,000 views. Say your goal is views, and you have an ad budget of £200, and that can get you 7,000 views. Would you then set a goal of 1 million views? Would that make sense to set a goal of 1 million views, even though your ad budget can only get you 7,000? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It isn't realistic. It's not attainable for you with your resources. Okay? If I'm someone who has 5 million followers on Instagram, and I want to see 20,000 website clicks. For me, with 5 million engaged Instagram followers, I think that's realistic. I think that's attainable, 20,000 website clicks, right? But we do need to discuss time frame, and we're going to get there. But I think that's realistic because my resources, my circumstances, having such a large following, can get me that amount of clicks. So you need to look at what you are working with. Can my ad budget stretch for this? Does my influence or my audience or my mailing list, does it allow me to dream these dreams? Or am I dreaming? Okay, is it realistic or not? Relevant. Does it relate back to your overall end goal for the brand? Does it relate back to what you want overall for your business? Because imagine if I have a makeup company, and my overall goal for the business is to grow sales-wise. Does it make sense for me to set my goal on something like impressions on a particular Instagram post. I mean, what are these impressions on this Instagram post going to do for me long term with my overall goal for the business? Maybe it does connect. Maybe it doesn't. But these are the questions you need to ask yourself. Like, does it make sense for me to does this tie back to what I want overall for my business or not? Is it relevant or not? Because there's no point in doing a whole campaign that doesn't pull you back to the main goal for your business. Lastly, timely. We need to talk about time frames. Now, before I just said that if I had 5 million followers on Instagram and my goal was 20,000 website clicks, I think that's realistic. But the question really is, in what time frame? Am I expecting 20,000 website clicks in like 10 minutes of posting? Or am I expecting 20,000 website clicks over the span of like a week? Good question, right? You need to know, what time frame really am I looking at? When do I want to see all of this happen by? So say, for example, my goal is 10 business leads by, this is an example of a goal, 10 business leads by the end of the month. That's a nice goal. This is me for my business now. If you don't know, I own a digital marketing agency called Pink Ship. All right. Our goal is to get new clients signed on with us so that we can, manage their campaigns and run their marketing activities. And I can realistically get 10 leads by the end of June. That's a realistic goal for me based on, our audience, based on our resources and our networking capabilities. It's timely because a month is plenty of time to pull in 10 leads. It's specific. I've said exactly what it is I'm expecting to see, and it's measurable because I said how many I want. Do you get it? These are the things you need to think about now. Okay. Step 3. Now, I hope you're writing all of this down because this is going, so I'm just going to plug in my laptop because we don't want the computer to die during the class now, do we? That would be ridiculous. But I hope that you're writing all of this down because I want you to come back later on and go over this. This is something that I do. I have these steps. Obviously I have a more extensive version of it all, but I come back to this. Every time we've got a new client, every time we've got a new campaign to run, every time we've got a new project, every single time I'm trying to roll something out, I have a step. I have my steps that I take to make sure that I'm reaching my goals, and I need to know what my goals are. Otherwise, I'm definitely wasting time. Yeah. Okay. Step 3, audience and content. Now, this is the one I said we could drag out to 4 or 5 steps, but we're going to compress it into one. And I absolutely adore this step. This is the most fun for me, this one. We've set our goal. We've done our situational analysis. We've got a very good idea of what the vibe is like in the world and what kind of things we can and can't say, can and can't do. We know what our resources are, what our capabilities are, and we know what we are hoping for. Yeah. And we know what we're marketing as well, like our specific product. Now we need to understand who we're marketing to and what our content is. What is the communications that we're going to use? All right. And how do we put that together to appease our desired audience? Understanding your target audience, like I've just said, who are you marketing to? This is so important. I always like to use this example of if my phone rings and it's an unknown number or private caller, those ones. I always answer the phone like, hello? Just a little hesitant, cautious, confused, because I don't know who this is. This could be anybody. And I'm not quite sure how to approach the situation. I'm not sure what tone of voice to use. I'm not sure what language to use either because I just don't know who this person is. But if it's my mum, I'll be like, and I see it's my mum calling, I'll be like, oh, hi, mum. Happy to hear from her. Bubbly voice. And I know what language to use as well. I'm calling her mum because that's who she is to me. If it's my husband, slightly less joyful because I see him every day. But still endearing. So I'll be like, hey babe, or hey babe. That's how I will answer him. Tone of voice is different. Language is different. Talking to my husband versus my mom, different tone, different language. And that always use that example because that is marketing. Understanding who you're talking to and adjusting your language, adjusting the tone of voice, adjusting your approach to suit who you're talking to. Makes sense? So if you don't know who you're talking to, your marketing is going to be extremely confused. It's going to be like answering the phone to a private caller. You're going to have language is going to be all over the place as well. The tone is going to be very distant. It's going to be cold. It's not going to be warm. I'm not going to feel like I'm talking to an old friend. And that's how you want your marketing to feel. You want your marketing to feel like, hey, old friend. You want it to feel very warm, very approachable. You want your audience to feel very close. And so you use language that makes you feel like you're talking to them. Have you ever seen an ad and just thought, whoa, it's like they're talking to me. It's like they're in my head. That's how you want it to feel. Now, if you was in the last class, just the lesson just before this one, with Akil, you would have done this activity already, understanding your target audience. So I'm not going to take you through it again. I'm just going to breeze through this to give you guys an example of what it is that you should be going away and doing. You would have already done this if you were in Akil's class though. But screenshot this if you weren't in Akil's class, because then you can sit down and do this at a later time. Right? So what we want to look at is the gender, age, marital status, children, if any, and how many children as well. Are they girls? Are they boys? Those are the things you should ask yourself as well. Geography, where is your customer? Where are they? Or your target audience? Where are they based? Where do they live? Culture or religion. All right? What is that? Because that, again, it does all these things frame and shape the way your customer sees the world and the way your customer sees you, and it will affect the way you approach them as well. All right. What education do they have? What's their occupation? What is their income? These are all the demographics. Now, the psychographics are more to do with their thought process. The demographics is more who they are, their identity, what it says in the census. The psychographics is more about how they think and how they process information. So what does your ideal target audience, what do they believe about your industry? If your industry is beauty, what do they believe about the beauty industry? Or if you're sports, what do they believe about the sports industry? What are their beliefs? What beliefs do they hold? What do they value about your industry? Okay. What do they desire in relation to your service offerings? So if I'm a hairdresser, what kind of hair does my target audience desire? So you have to ask yourself what are their desires in relation to your service offerings. What are their fears in relation to your service offerings? What's their level of expertise about your industry? Are they clued up on the things that you offer and teach and do? Or are they kind of like real newbies and don't really know much about it and kind of look to you as the expert, right? These are the things you kind of want to know as well. So those are the things about that's how they think, how they process information. Now, behavioral. This is all about what they do, how they behave, right? What is their lifestyle? What kind of lifestyle do they live? Is it a very active lifestyle? Is it a very slow pace? Are they busy persons? Maybe if they've got kids, they're doing a lot of up and down. What are their hobbies? What do they like to do, outside of work? What do they do for fun? How do they socialize? That's what socializing is. How do they socialize? Are they brunch people? Are they bowling people? Are they cinema people? Where are they mentally after this pandemic? Maybe the hobbies that they once had are no longer their hobbies. What do they do now? Like, how have they changed as people? Because that's another thing that you kind of need to understand. It will affect the way you connect with them. Just understanding where they are mentally, understanding where they are physically, understanding that maybe they're having a hard time going back to their normal baseline, or maybe they're a little bit more active now than they were before. Maybe their weight has changed and, that has affected the way they feel about life. What are their buying habits? What kind of things do they buy? Where do they shop? Um, when I say buying habits, I mean, are they the type of people who see something they want and just buy it? Or are they the type of people who bookmark things and come back to it months later and say, okay, I'm ready for you now? Are they the type of people to save up for something? Or are they the type of people to look for discount codes before they buy something? How do they shop? And products, what kind of things do they buy? What do they spend their money on? Are they people that spend their money on food? Are they people that spend their money on experiences? Are they people that spend their money on clothes? Are they beauty people? Are they what's the word, entertainment streaming system people? Are they video game people? What do they spend their money on? What kind of things do they buy? And when they're buying your things, what do they buy along with it? Or when they're spending money on your services, what accompanies that? These are interesting things to know and understand about your target audience. Now, I say spend 20 to 40 minutes on this. And the reason why I say 20 to 40 minutes is I just think that some of you may know your target audience through and through already, and therefore it would only take about 20, 25 minutes to really get through this. And some of you may have a lot of thinking to do. So this could take it could even take up to an hour. I know some people really wrestle with the demographic section, the age. They don't want to narrow it down. They say, oh, but my product is good for all ages. Yeah, maybe, but you're not targeting all ages, are you? M&S are not targeting all ages, are they? Even though all ages shop there. Pretty Little Thing is not targeting all ages, although anyone could buy stuff from there. You need to think about who you're really targeting and narrow it way down. And the reason why you need to narrow it down is because the way you would talk to a 17-year-old is very different to the way you're going to talk to a 75-year-old. You're not going to use the same language, the same music, the same colors, the same images, the same font. None of it is going to be the same. It's going to be completely different because they're completely different people. So you need to really pick a span of like 5 to 10 years. I say 10 to be kind to you, but really 5 is what I would ideally like to see. And a lot of people wrestle with the demographics because they feel like they're alienating certain audiences by focusing on one, and you are not. All you are doing is making sure that you are able to really streamline your message to reach your desired audience. You want it to hit home. Okay? So that's that. I said I wasn't going to spend too long and I did. Sorry. Here are some examples. Screenshot this, okay? Because I want you to screenshot this. I'm just going to give you a second to screenshot. Screenshot this because this you're going to come back to later. And these are examples for you if you struggle at all with any of the points. Okay. Positioning. We're still in audience and content. Positioning. So we've just talked about who your audience are. Who are they? We talked about that. Now we're going to talk about how your audience see you, right? This is how they are, who they are, more about them. Now we need to understand how they see you and your business. We want to understand how they view your brand. What is your USP and where are you positioned in their mind? Here's an example I love using, right? I love to compare Jamie Oliver and Gordon Ramsay. I think they are just such a great example of positioning, because if you look at them and you don't know them, they're not that different. They're both, I mean, I want to say Jamie Oliver's blonde, but he's a bit more of a brunette, but they're similar color hair, both white guys, both around the same age, both British, and they both cook. What's the difference? Well, the difference is actually pretty huge. The difference is in their branding. The difference is in their positioning. The difference is in the way that we see them in our mind, although they're not that different aesthetically, or even their services are not even that much different. But the way they have positioned themselves in the market is phenomenal. Even their professional headshots, I find this interesting. Jamie Oliver's got a smile. Gordon Ramsay's got a mean face. And that just really is like an insight into who they are, who they have branded themselves to be. We know Jamie Oliver to be the family-friendly cook. All of his recipes are easy. You can try them at home for your kids. They're supposedly healthy. He's the healthy eating advocate. And everything that he makes is supposed to be like really accessible, and you're supposed to be able to cook it for your family, no problems. He's, really like, he's kind, he's gentle, he's approachable, he's warm. Gordon Ramsay, on the other hand, he has not positioned himself to be accessible at all. He's positioned himself as a Michelin star chef. You can't even touch his level of cooking. That's how he was positioned himself. Like, you can't cook like me. I am expert. I've been doing this for this amount of years. I have this restaurant and that restaurant, and have this award and that award. Like, he's distanced himself from the regular everyday person's cooking abilities, right? He's also very like mean. He swears, he shouts. He's not very tolerant of people making mistakes in his kitchen. He's a perfectionist, and that is the difference between the two of them. And that's how we see them in our mind, although they're pretty much offering the same things. It's food at the end of the day. Sure, it doesn't taste much different from when Gordon makes it to when Jamie makes it, but they really do a good job of positioning themselves in the market to stand out. You want to ask yourself, how am I different from my competitor? Take another competitor who looks and sounds and is just like you. Have a second, think about that. And then later on, when you come back and do this activity, really write down all the ways that you and that brand are different. And don't be afraid to really compliment that other competitor as well. And it can be hard to kind of look at what they've got that you don't got, because I want you to really go in, think about it. What do they have that I don't have? And then think, what do I have that they don't have? And why are we different? Why would someone pick me over them? And why would someone pick them over me? There's space for both of you. You have to remember that. But you do have to be very self-aware and know exactly what it is that people see in you in order for you to market yourself effectively. Now, content strategy. We move on to content strategy now. Now we know who we're talking to, and we know how they see us, or at least how we want to be seen by them. We now need to think about what content we're going to need to create in order to really solidify that position that we want to have in their mind. We want them to see us a certain way. How do I really hone in on that with my content? And how do I really create something that's going to reach this target audience that I dream of reaching? This is where you have to tie it all together with the content. This is going to take you hours to toil over, coming up with ideas, creating mood boards, looking up examples, scrapping this and starting again and changing the language and changing the colors and really, really going into your creative space and come up with this. And if you know you're not really that much of a creative person, then this is where you solicit help. This is where you get people on board to come and help you. You have a focus group, or you sit with some people who resemble your target audience and ask them, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of that idea? This is the way you do that now. It's a hot day. Sorry, take a sip of my juice. But yeah, this is where you start to ask yourself that now. And this is where you're going to sit and really spend a lot of time going back and forth with yourself. Okay. Let's look at types of content first. This is me just getting your juices flowing, just giving you some ideas that you can go away and think more deeply about. We're not doing no giant mind mapping right now, but you know what needs to be done in this step. There are photos, there are quotes, there are events. Did you know events are actually content? They're considered content. So if it's a live event or a virtual event or any type of event, that comes down to, that is part of content as well. Live streams, videos, memes, microblogs, or just general blogs. You have lifestyle posts. And when I say videos, I do mean long form, short form. I mean scripted. I mean reality. I mean vlog style. I mean tutorial style. There's so many different types of video. Behind the scenes content, facts and information just to position yourself as an expert. Storytelling never goes wrong. And in fact, your whole marketing should be laced with storytelling. This is how we're really gonna reach them, you know. Giveaways are a type of content as well. Feature posts, featuring people, like, you know, having guest speakers, or interviewing someone for your blog or your digital magazine. A digital magazine is a type of content. Seasonal themed posts are something to do with the season that we're in. Testimonials as well, just getting some social proof from other people. You know, getting tutorial videos made by other people, or influencer collaborations. These are all different types of content that you can really think of. Screenshot this, elaborate on them. Underneath each of these headings, come up with loads of different ideas. This is what you need to go away and do. I can't help you with this bit because I don't know your target audience. I don't know your brand. I don't know where you want to be positioned in your brand's mind. Okay, that's the only kind of drawback of me not being in a room with you guys, is that I can't ask you guys these questions. So I'm relying on you to go away and do this work, yeah? Yeah, so we've talked about this now. I put here 2 to 3 hours, but really, you and I know, realistically, this can take you the best part of, let's say, a week to really come up with some gold. And when I say gold, I really don't believe in just any kind of slapdash content. I really want you to sit and think about what you are going to make and put out there and represent your brand with. So what content will you create, and how will the creative align with your target audience's taste, right? So how will what you've decided to create, how will that align? Will your target audience see that and think, yep, that was made for me? Or will they scroll right past it and not be interested? That's how you will know if you've done your homework. All right, here's an example of a mood board we made for a client. Can't tell you what client, but if you know Pink Ship, then you probably know what client this is. But here's a mood board we made. This was a quick one, and this one took 2 to 3 hours. Okay, this was not one deep, extensive one, but this comes from, I guess, years of working with this brand and knowing exactly how they want to be positioned and exactly, you know, how they want to look and feel. So a lot of it was very easy, but it was a very simple color palette, some images that we drew to get pulled together for inspiration. This was for a shoot, and some notes underneath of like just some themes that we wanted people to really feel, and we wanted it to come across through the imagery, through the colors. We wanted them to feel sustainability, all natural. We wanted them to feel plant-based. We wanted it to feel self-care. And so we've self-love, health, slow living. These are the values that we wanted to reinforce with the imagery, with the colors, with the theme, with the vibe. And so that's kind of, this is just a quick mood board that we put together after a couple of hours of brainstorming. But you need to spend a lot longer, because you need to come up with a visual for your brand. You need to come up with not just your colors and fonts. Branding is not just colors and fonts, it's feelings. It's feelings. When someone comes across a post of yours on social media, or if they see a poster, or if they see a video, how do you want them to feel? That's what it is. It's not just it's not just colors, right? So I even put here, the way to differentiate yourself is with branding, tone, emotion, brand recognition. When your post comes up, they know it's your post, they know it's your brand, and they feel something. So how will your brand reinforce your uniqueness? What feelings do you want to convey with this campaign? And how will you convey these feelings? I can't help you with this. You need to do this work. So screenshot this and come back to it when you're ready to do the work. Now, step 4. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. I appreciate you giving up your sunny Saturday afternoon or evening to go through this with me. So step 4, digital strategies and tactics. Now, we've talked about all the other elements, the background work, the creation process, all of that we've talked about. Now, what we need to look at is how we're going to implement this. How are we going to distribute this? What is distribution going to look like, right? And this is what makes it digital. This is what takes it from being just regular marketing to digital marketing. This is what makes it a digital marketing, campaign. Right. Different tactics include, but not limited to, email marketing, social media. In fact, I will take you through the slides so you can see what they are one by one. But there's content marketing, there's PPC, affiliate, SEO. This is now where we talk about how we're going to distribute. We've made our amazing videos, we've made our photos, we've made our memes, our blogs, we've created a wicked event. Like, how are we going to push this out now? How are we going to make this digital? Here are some ideas. Email marketing. I feel like I don't feel like. A fact is, every digital marketing campaign needs an element of email marketing. It's so important. Email marketing is the act of sending a commercial message, typically to a group of people using email. In its broadest sense, every email sent to a potential or current customer could be considered email marketing. So if you are emailing your customers, that's email marketing. If you're sending an email broadcast, that's email marketing. All right. Now, you need to have that as part of your campaign. You're going straight to consumer, and your conversion rate is going to be higher. People check their emails, and emails convert very well. People click a lot more on emails than they do on social media, because think about it, when I'm on social media, when anyone's on social media, they're there to have fun. So it's really, really hard work getting them off the app. But when they're in their emails, click, click, click. Emails are designed to take you away from the email. So you want to include that, and you want to make sure that you're working towards building your mailing list continuously. Next, social media. Obvious one, everybody knows about this. It's a form of internet marketing that utilizes social networking websites as a marketing tool. We know that Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, Pinterest, all of these social media platforms are used to market our brands, and it is a huge part of our marketing strategies today. Most of the content that you would have come up with, and most of the content that you would have been thinking about and brainstorming about just now during that activity, would be with social media in mind. I'm assuming a lot of you are thinking about social media posts and like how you could roll this out online, or maybe a live stream on the internet, via social media. So that is definitely going to be on your mind. I don't blame you. It's extremely important, if not one of the most important channels today. Next, we're going to use pay-per-click advertising, PPC. Now, this is known as pay-per-click, cost per click. You are paying for the click. So whenever you search something on Google, the top result that has ad in the corner has paid to get that spot. And every time someone clicks that link, the brand is charged. That's when you get charged. So you don't really get charged for the spot per se, as much as you are being charged for the click. This is a very effective way to increase your web traffic, and of course, it doesn't cost you more than it needs. Like, you're not paying for the position, you're paying for the click, so it's worth the money, and it's worth the investment, really, if you ask me. Next is SEO strategies. Now that is paying. You're not paying for anything. SEO is increasing your website's authority, increasing your website's searchability, increasing your website's ranking on search engines. The most popular one being Google, but you can do this on Bing, you can do this on Yahoo. You're building your website to be on that first page of every search engine when they're looking for a certain keyword. So if you sell cat food, you want to be on the first page of cat food. How do you do that? You include cat food as your keyword into your copy on the site over and over. You link your website to other high authority sites. You do digital PR, you do all kinds of things, like just so much. You have to make sure you change in the meta tags and all the names of all the images on your site. You make sure that the site names are changed, and everything has to drive your site back to cat food, cat food, cat food, cat food, to where your site is up there. And this takes a lot of work and a lot of time to do. People think that this is not an overnight job. This is overtime, a lot of work, a lot of consistency, a lot of persistence. So there's that. And I could go into detail about SEO, but no time today. Next is digital PR. Now, this is a very important one for your SEO and just in general. You want to make sure your site is linked to as many high authority websites as possible. This works the exact same way as PR, but it's digital, which is more important because it gets you web traffic, darling, and that's what you need. All right. It's about getting your site talked about on all the websites that you can think of. Like, you don't really need to be in the magazine as much as you need to be on the site these days, because you really need people to see your business on there. You need the clicks through to your website, and you need the visibility on all these other platforms. And also, it doesn't hurt to have social proof, have other people talking about you, as opposed to you just always talking about yourself. Next is content marketing. Now, this involves creating content and putting it out as your marketing. Now, I know you're thinking, wait, isn't content needed for all of this? Yes, but content marketing relies solely on the content for the traffic. So blogs, that might be your main thing, or video, like short films, that type of thing. So this requires a great deal of storytelling, a great deal of creativity, because you're relying on your content. It's not like pay-per-click where you're actually just relying on your budget, really, or SEO where you're relying on just keywords and persistence and constant, techie stuff. And it's not PR either, where you're relying on other people's words and other people's articles. This is all about your creativity and your content and everything that you make. Then you have remarketing. Now, remarketing is, okay, when you go on a website and they tell you that they're using cookies, what that means is that they're collecting your data so that they can advertise to you later on. It's the process of using JavaScript tag to place a cookie in the user's browser. The cookie then informs the remarketing platform to serve specific display ads through an ad exchange based on the pages or products the user has engaged with or searched for on your website or app. So if you come to my website and you're looking at leather boots, then you're going to start seeing leather boot ads from me for the next week. Okay, because I'm collecting that data on you as you browse my site. And that is a very effective way to pull people back into your site. So I teach a class about sales funnels, and one of the most important steps in building a sales funnel is collecting data, aka cookies, so that you can remarket. So if the person doesn't get to the end of the funnel and buy right then and there, at least they'll be back, because you can continue to advertise them later. And they do say it takes 7 impressions before someone makes a purchase. So remarketing is extremely important. Then you have affiliate marketing, and this is where you work with influencers, and every time that they make that they send someone to your page to buy something, they get a percentage, but you get a sale. So that's another great way to make sure that you're working with other people and making the most out of your influencer collaborations. Coming to an end, guys. Bear with me. Congratulations if you made it to here, but now you're not done. All right. We're going to look at the last step now. And that is a budget plan. You need to think about the money. What is this going to cost you? All right. You need to budget. You need to make sure that you have a plan in place for how you're going to spend money. How much is it going to cost? How much is content going to cost? Screenshot this. How much are your photo shoots, your video content, your graphic design, your copywriting? What will that cost? And what will it cost to distribute the content via influencers? What's the price of that? Paid ads, what's the price of that? Google, social media, YouTube. What's the price of any employees or freelancers that you work with if you're doing focus groups or whatever? How much is all of that going to cost? So have yourself a total budget. Before you go out spending, decide how much you're going to spend in each area. A lot of people spend most of their money on content, i.e. the photo shoots and the video shoots, and all that production can cost a lot. But then they have nothing left for ads, so that they have all this beautiful content that nobody sees. Just tumbleweeds, because there was no money to actually distribute. So make sure you save some money for distribution. And create a content calendar as well. You want to make sure that you have a content calendar, a plan for the rollout of this content. So you know how much it's all going to cost, you know what you're making, but you need to know when things are going to be posted and who needs to post on the same time as you, and do you have your influencers posting on a certain day, and what are the time frames, and how long is a certain ad going to run for, and all of these things. You need to make sure that you include the date of certain publications, when those are going to go live. make sure that they're linked in with the social media posts that you're going to put out. Screenshot this as well. You want to make sure that this is all linked and aligned. You know, when you're rolling things out, how things are going to be rolled out, so that you can keep track of the campaign and you can keep an eye on the progress. This is just a tip. Create a detailed version of your calendar, including captions and hashtags, so that you're not confused on what should I post today. Like, there's no question. You know what you need to put out that day. You know what the caption is. You know what time it's going out. You know what hashtags you're using. And this involves identifying appropriate keywords for your use correctly. So then that helps your SEO, making sure that your hashtags and your SEO keywords are aligned. And this is important if you want users to find you on search engines and social media. You need to make sure you're using the right hashtags. Step 5, final step, and this is a quick one, and I'm very, very happy that you guys have stuck with me all the way to this point. Step 5. Measuring your results and KPIs. All right, we have to measure every action using KPIs to figure out if we earned the return of investment that we expected. A KPI is a key performance indicator. If you remember the beginning, we talked about setting goals and we said that the goals need to be measurable. That's your KPI. So if you said you want 10 downloads, then your KPI is 10 downloads, all right? And then the ROI is the return on investment, the profit that you was expecting to get back. And you would know that if you had done your budget. You would know how much money you spent versus how much money you wanted to make, all right? Especially if your goal is sales-based. You need to know what you're expecting your return of investment to be. Maybe your return of investment isn't money. Maybe your return of investment is impressions or views or followers, but you need to be clear on what you want to see as a result. And that's why your SMART goal is so important. And then you have your data to help you see if you're on track. This is where the time frame comes in, because you know that you've got till the end of the month, or you've got till the end of the summer or something like that to see your goal. So you can keep a lookout and say, oh, we're not on track. So maybe we need to change this, or maybe we need to change that. And you keep an eye on your analytics as the time passes in your time frame to know if you're on the right track or not, or if you need to tweak things, if you need to change things, if it's working, if it's not working, identifying where you went wrong. And Google Analytics is a very good platform to use for campaign tracking, because you can see where you can see where all your user acquisition is coming from. You can see the behavior flow on the back end of your site to see if they're clicking the pages that you want them to click, to see if they're adding to cart like you want them to. These are the things you need to be keeping an eye on. All your social media platforms have insights available as well, so you can keep an eye on that. Like, which post got us the most website clicks, which post got us the most followers, the most shares, the most engagement. You can keep an eye on what's working and what's not working, and this stops you from going off track and stops you from being confused as to what is going wrong. Sometimes people don't know why their campaign didn't work well, and that's because they're not looking at the stats and they're not measuring their insights alongside the goals that were set. Okay, that's it. I'm taking questions. We are just reaching an hour, which I'm not too I'm pleased with. I'm okay with that. And I just want to know if you guys have any questions. I'm going through the questions here at the bottom of the YouTube link now. Yes, I'm seeing some good bits here. Thank you guys for joining. I'm just looking at the YouTube comments now. The questions I'm getting on this platform are a little different to what I'm seeing on the YouTube stream. So this is good for me to see. I'm glad you guys joined. I'm glad you guys are a part of this. And I hope that this has been helpful for you. I don't see any questions here. I just see comments, which I'm very happy to see. But if you do have any questions, drop them now. I'm answering. That's why we check our internal environments, so that we can check what resources and skills we have internally. Well, yeah, I mean, it helps to know what's going on around your brand, just to make sure that that what you're putting out is is needed in the world, or if it's going to be received well, or how it's going to be received. So that's why that's important. But yeah, I'm any tips on connecting with brands that you want to work with? If this is coming from like an influencer perspective, or if it's coming from an influencer perspective, I would say the best way to really reach out to brands that you want to work with is, first of all, have a pitch, have a, not necessarily a presentation, but have something tangible for them to look at, to say, well, you can add value to us because you've come with the proof, and the proof is in the pudding. So if you say, these are my, average impressions, and the last campaign I did, these were the click-throughs, my audience is made up of this demographic, which is perfectly in line with yours, and I can help you reach da 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 da, and I can help you do this, and you're giving them an idea of how working with you will benefit them, and you're giving them an idea of just what value you're adding, and what you're doing that is different to what they can do themselves. And I think that's a great way to start, having something really to show. Any thoughts on the best time to post on social media? Your insights will tell you that. Your insights will tell you what brands you what time to post. And that's why I say insights are the best thing. Any question you have for me, your insights could probably answer it, to be honest with you. Even that question about what brand should I work with, it came back to insights, didn't it? It came back to your stats, it came back to your impressions, it came back to your link clicks, it came back to just showing people the numbers. Everyone in business, people want to know they want to know the numbers, okay? You're reaching out to, as an influencer approaching a brand, you're not talking to the creatives, you're talking to the money people, the people who are responsible for making that brand money. So you need to show them the money. And it's the same with what time of day should I post? Stats will tell you. So your insights on your social media platforms will tell you when your audience is most active. If your audience is most active on Tuesday afternoon, that's when you post. Or if your audience is most active on Saturday morning, that's when you post. Your insights will tell you. So always make sure you're checking those stats. Is it important to tag people and businesses on social media to get wider coverage? It's not important, but it's great, especially feature accounts. If there are accounts that you know of that share the type of content that you create, tag them, because feature accounts are looking for things to post. So tag them and be consistent with that. And if there's a brand that you would like to work with, I mean, by all means, if you're going to create content using their product, tag them. You might get a repost, but be careful, because you are essentially creating free content for these brands. And at the end of the day, if you've already made the post, you've already made the tutorial video, you already made the pictures, why should we now collaborate with you? You already did it, and you paid for the clothes too, and you paid for the makeup too. So it's kind of a win-win for the brand, and you're kind of gambling as an influencer as to whether or not they are going to book you for anything paid in the future. So I would just say tread carefully. However, I'm not saying don't ever do this, because it's a great way to get your foot in the door. It is a great way to get visibility, and it is a great way to show brands what you are capable of creating. So just tread carefully and try not to, spend too much money on the clothes or the makeup that you're going to create a post with, But I feel like that's all the posts now. That's all the questions now. So, and I've kept you guys long enough on this sunny day. I'm gonna let you guys get out to the park and go to your barbecues and all the stuff that you have planned. And thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate this.